This is the plastic container for crazy glue. We just cut off the end. We are going to attempt to use this to save making a mess when we do our oil change.
So I'm going to put this over the plug. Then I'll undo the plug and get it out. And it'll drain into this.
In theory.
In theory. I think this is too long though, actually.
Different tool kit, smaller tool. We need a shallower pan then. Let's try this pan instead.
Well, I can't see, but I don't think there's anything in there.
We have a cardboard funnel here lined up to try to avoid getting any oil in that skid plate when we remove the filter. Seems to be working.
A little cleaner than before.
Yeah. It's finally time. March 20th of 2021, and we're going for our first ride of the season.
Just got to one of our favorite places. It's Calabogie Lake. We came down to the beach to see if the lake was good, but it's still very much frozen. There's the ski hill in the distance. Ice is still pretty thick. And get back on the road and keep enjoying the sun. It's about 12 degrees right now.
This is one of our favorite dirt roads, and we were riding to see how much the snow had melted. It's unmaintained during the winter months, so we weren't sure how far we could get, but we ended up having to turn around. It's still covered in ice and snow.
Definitely still there.
And the ticking noise from Sebastian's engine on his DR was still there, so we ended up heading back home. So we've done a triple check on the valve adjustments to make sure it was on the right top dead center, and we tried tightening and loosening the adjustments to both ends of the specifications, and there was no difference. Now we're troubleshooting and trying to figure out what it is. We've printed reference pages for the engine disassembly to inspect further. Number 7's a lot longer.
8's the same, but how do you take that off? You gotta take this one.
That's 7, 8. Our goal today is to check the cam chain tensioner to see if there's any wear on the cam chain guide, and to remove the clutch cover to check the primary gear nut. And we also did the NSU fix while we were in there. That's 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so we have all the bolts for the cylinder head cover off.
It's just the rockers. This is not good. That one moves easily though. This one not so much.
Is that the exhaust side?
I took the head cover off because we needed to see if the timing was accurate. The timing marks are dead on, and it's on top dead center on the compression stroke. I've just released the pressure off the cam chain tensioner, so now it's loose. I'm gonna take this bolt out that's holding the cam chain guide on, and I'm going to take the guide off to see if it's too worn out, basically to keep in the bike. Otherwise, I have no clue what else to look at. There was a horrible noise. The decompression moves smoothly, like everything else looks good. The valves look good. I didn't look obviously on the other underside. I'm not removing the whole head. I measured the lobes for the intake and the exhaust, and they're at almost 35 mils, like 34 point something, so they're still within spec. Just over 33 mil is when you're supposed to replace the camshaft, so I'm gonna keep digging in and see if we can find anything. So I got one of the cam chain guides out to see if the wear was excessive on it, and as you can tell, it's basically brand new. There's no excessive wear, and there's no metal showing anywhere, so the plastic coating is still good. I'm going to put it back in, make sure that the cam chain tensioner goes back up properly. It's sitting
Just don't let it fall too. After some reading on forums, people were suggesting to check the primary gear nut. Even though the noise was in the top end, we decided to check it anyways, just to be sure.
So I was taking the carb apart to clean it because the float was actually sticking. The needle valve was stuck open for some reason, so the overflow was just pouring out on the ground. Then I checked my pilot fuel screw to adjust it to see if it was on. It was 3.5 turns out, which is quite a bit. And I noticed that the tip is broken right off and it's stuck inside the carb right now, so I'm working on getting that out without damaging the inlet, the little hole here, so I don't widen it and then screw up the fuel and air mixture. So I finally got the tip out. It's hard to see, but you can see the light at the bottom there. The hole did not get distorted or anything else. There's a couple scratches there. I've got 1,000 grit sandpaper I'm gonna wet sand it to make sure the surface is nice and smooth. So with the pick, which I just bought luckily, ended up using the 90-degree one. I felt a super small indent in there, so I ended up putting it right against it. And then leveraging, I couldn't get enough weight with my fingers, so I ended up using the pliers, carefully prying it like this. And then I got it out. I felt it go down and it came right out. So whatever that is definitely what's making the noise. So I was going through the whole cycle, looking at the exhaust valves opening, closing, the intake opening and closing. Then right after the intake shuts back up, and we're going towards top dead center on the compression stroke, there's a weird knocking sound, and then when I had my fingers on the rocker arm for the two exhaust valves, you can definitely feel a tapping directly on it. So the noise is definitely coming from the exhaust valves. So I am going to have to unfortunately take the head off and inspect the valves, but I'll show you guys. So exhaust is open, shut, and then intake is opening, shutting, and there's the noise.
That stinks.
That is pretty raunchy. You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
See the coloration on it?
Right now we're cleaning everything, and we've ordered the oil seals and gaskets. We're still waiting on parts for the carb, so this video will be continued at a later date.